Welcome back to the arcade and another arcade fix. In the last video, we put a cap kit in this TOEI 19-inch CM A20HC chassis. And we put it back in the game, and we just kind of real quickly tuned it up, and we got a fairly decent picture. But I still had a couple more concerns, and we need to do a more in-depth alignment. And the first thing I wanted to talk about was when I was putting the cap kit in, there was a capacitor right here. This capacitor, which is C80. Okay. The capacitor that was on this board was an axle type capacitor. The kit had a radio capacitor. Now the board was set up for either one. It had two solder spots close together for this radio, and it had two solder points far apart for this axle. Okay, I'm pretty sure that this was the original capacitor that came in this monitor. Judging by the one before I desoldered it, it just looked factory installed. Okay, now here's what gets me. This is a 10 microfarad at 350 volts. Okay, the kit came with a 10 microfarad at I believe it was 250 volts. Okay, now here's the thing. The parts list for the monitor C80 shows a 10 microfarad at 160 volts. If we go to the schematics, let's see, it's here somewhere. Let me find the capacitor, I'll be right back. Okay, I thought I'd marked it, but I forgot where it was. C80, 10 microfarad at 160. That's what the schematic shows. 10 microfarad at 160. So surely 250 would be enough. But why did the factory put a 350 volt at 10 microfarads in there? Okay. Also, since there are three 10 microfarad capacitors, C36, 66, and 80 are all supposed to be 10 microfarad at 160 volts. Okay, well here are the other two capacitors, and these were both factory capacitors too. So they obviously had radio capacitors, so why did they put the axle capacitor here at 350 volts? It just doesn't make sense. I could understand if they didn't have these and they substituted these, or maybe they just had a large supply of these and they wanted to get rid of them and they figured that was the best spot to put them in. But also the board is designed for an axle or a radio, either one. So it just doesn't seem quite right. Now I found a post on Clav message forum, Kill a List of Videos, and I printed it out. I'll put a screenshot of it up here so you can probably see it better, but this is a post from 2013, September 13th, 2013, and it was titled Cap Mystery, TOEI Munson. All right, I'm going to read it here. It says, I pulled the chassis from a Century Eagle game and bought the cap kit from Bob Roberts. Specifically, I have a TOEI Munson 19-inch CM A20H. Everything was going smoothly until I got to C80. The Bob Roberts kit calls out 10 microfarad at 160 volt cap, which is physically fairly small. The cap that is in there is a 10 microfarad 350 volt cap, and it is laying on its side with the conductors coming out of the top and bottom rather than more traditional type where they both come out of the bottom. This gives it a very wide footprint. Not sure what to do. Do I go buy a 10 microfarad 350 volt that looks like this one, or do I stick with the 160 volt and try to make it work? And he got several replies on it, which I didn't print all of them out, but the first one said, according to the manual, it's a 10 microfarad at 160 volt. The caps with legs coming out of them on each side is called an axle. And then Lions Arcade posted, probably Ron, said somebody probably did a cap kit in the past and put a big cap in it because that's what they had on hand. Well, that's what I thought too. So I kind of went with it. So I went ahead and I put the 250 volt cap that came in the cap kit, same cap that came years ago in the Bob Roberts kit. This kit, of course, came from Peter at Arcade Parts and Repair. And I guess it's going to be fine because the schematic and the parts list state 160 volt. And we're replacing it with a 250 volt, but it's just a mystery. As the other poster said back in 2013, it's a mystery. Why did they have this 350 volt capacitor in there? So let me know in the comments, what do you think? And from what I have read, nobody's had a problem. This person that went ahead and put the cap from the cap kit in there said the monitor had a beautiful picture and he had no problems. So that's what I'm going with. But one other thing, let's test these capacitors and see what we come up with. So I'll get my ESR meter out and let's just run a check on these 3 capacitors and see what we get. All right, well, let's go ahead and test. We'll first test this 350 volt 10 microfarad axle cap, and let's see what this one is reading. And it's reading 11.29 microfarad, and the ESR is 2.8 ohms. Well, that capacitor is fine. That's reading good. Now, the only thing is, I did notice, if you look at the end of this right here, I don't know if you can see it gleaming in the camera, but right around where the lead comes out, it looks kind of shiny, like maybe it had started to leak, but who knows, it might just be normal. All right, well, let's try the other 2. So these are 10 microfarads at 160 volt. Now I don't know where they went on the chassis, I mean what circuit they were in, but let's see what these read. Huh. It must be open because I'm getting nothing. Yeah, this one is completely open. All right, let's try the other one. Same thing, completely open. Let's put this one back on just to see if we get anything. Aha. Well, that's strange. This one is good, but these other 2, which according to the parts list are supposed to be the same capacitor, are bad. So maybe they put this one in because they knew these caps weren't all that good a quality. But this circuit that this one is in might have been in a part of the circuit that you couldn't stand a failure. So who knows? It's still a mystery, but we're going to go with it. So we're not going to worry about that. So let's move on. Okay, let's move on to mystery number 2. This also involves a cap. As I was doing the cap kit, if you were watched my video, this cap right here that still has the red mark on it, because that's an original cap. I didn't change it because this cap was not in the cap kit. This is C63. Okay. Now, if we go to the parts list, C63 here, it listed as a tantalum lytic capacitor, 68 mmF at 16 volts. Okay. Well, the capacitor that's in here is an electrolytic, and it is 68 microfarads at 16 volts. I believe 16 volts. We'll check it again when we pull it out. So I went ahead and left it in there because I didn't have a 68 microfarad. Okay. Well, here's the funny thing. It says it's a tantalum capacitor on the parts list and 68 mmF. What is mmF? Is that for microfarads? But why would it say mmF when up here they say MF for microfarads? Would that be microfarads? Would that be picofarads? I don't know. I get all messed up with conversions like that. But here's the mystery. If we go to the schematics, C63 right here is a 47 at 16. TA. TA stands for tantalum. So 47 microfarad at 16 volts. Okay. Now, you can change a tantalum capacitor with an electrolytic. They're, you know, you can, you know, they're compatible. And I was looking to try to figure this out, and I came across a post on Aussie Arcade, which is a forum, and somebody was working on one of these chassis, and they had a picture. They were asking another question. It wasn't about this capacitor, but I noticed it in the picture, and I'll put a picture of it up here. This capacitor right here is a blue dipped tantalum like this one right here. This is a tantalum capacitor. This blue capacitor here, which is like a blue drop or dipped they call it, which is the coating on it. And it is right here where this one is supposed to be. Now the only thing is, what's the value? According to the schematic, it's a 47 microfarad, okay? But according to the parts list, it's a 68 mmF. So there's another mystery. Okay, well, I think it's been almost a week ago now, there's another club member on the Killer List of Video Games forum. I believe his handle or his screen name is Trevor42532. It's TR3VOR, so I think that's supposed to stand for Trevor. I might be wrong. Sorry if I'm got that wrong, but anyway, he put up a YouTube video. He's got an arcade collection and he's got a YouTube channel, and he put up a video where he had a problem with this very chassis in his Phoenix game. He's got a very nice Phoenix game, so check out his video. I'll put a link to it up top here. And he had a problem with the B plus not adjusting, was his main problem. He had already put a cap kit in it. Okay, now I looked through his video and he had some nice close-ups of the board, and he actually had a close-up of the board where I could see this capacitor, and it was not a tantalum drop type capacitor. It was an electrolytic, and I could also read the value on it, and his had a 47 microfarad capacitor. Right off the top of my head, I don't remember if it was a 16 volt or a 50 volt or something in that range. I'll put a picture of it up here and show you a screenshot from his video that shows the capacitor and the value. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and go with the 47 microfarad electrolytic capacitor, and I do happen to have one of them. It might not be a brand name capacitor, but I'm going to put it in anyway for the time being. And this is a 47 microfarad at 100 volt. And so yeah, we're going to go ahead and put that in. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, let's go ahead and pull this capacitor out. And yeah, should be this one right here. Might not be quite up to temperature yet. There we go. That's got it. Alrighty. See, 68 microfarads at 16 volts. And I am 99.99% sure that that is an original capacitor that came in this chassis. So we're going to go ahead and replace it with this 47 microfarad at 100 volts. Make sure we get the polarity right here. Okay, clip the leads off. And now I think we're finally finished. Now we can go back out to the garage, put the chassis back in the monitor, fire it up, and see if we can't do some more adjusting on it. I'm going to take my mirror out there so I can see it better. Last time I was using the viewfinder and the camera, which was a little hard because it was far away and it's a small, not really a viewfinder, it's the little screen on the camera. And yeah, we'll be able to dial this thing in. And I'm also going to set the B plus before we do anything. So you always want to set the B plus and get the voltage correct, because if you adjust everything and then set the B plus, well, if it's not spot on and you have to make an adjustment, that's going to throw all your other adjustments off, because your monitor should be warmed up at least 10 minutes and adjust your B plus. Then you can go and make any other adjustments you want, and then you should be good to go. Almost forgot one very important thing. There we go. Now it's been officially rebuilt. Well, before I reinstall this chassis back into the monitor and try it out, I want to go over real quick all the adjustment pots on the board here. So if anybody is working on one of these chassis, maybe this will help you be a little more familiar with what's what. First, let's go over the B plus adjustment. Now the B plus adjustment is VR11. On the chassis here, VR11 is this pot right here. Yeah, there it is, right there. Now it's covered in this black goop, and looking at it, it looks like it's never been adjusted. So it's still set at whatever the factory set it at. So I'm not going to mess with it, but we are going to check the B plus, and if it needs to be adjusted, I will adjust it. But we want to see how close it is to the factory adjustment now that I have new caps in the chassis here. So the B plus is supposed to be at 110 volts. So that'll be the first thing we're going to do, is check the B plus. There are also two other pots here which are similar looking to the B plus pot. You have this one right here, which is VR8. It's also got the goop on it, and it hasn't been messed with. I don't know really what this pot is, but according to Trevor 42532, his video, he looked at the schematics and he thinks that VR8 might be the B plus shutdown. Now, I don't know whether that means if the B plus, it'll shut down the B plus if the voltage gets too high. Obviously it wasn't working for him because his voltage was too low, so I guess it would only shut down if the voltage got too high. That's what I'm thinking, but who knows? If anybody knows, write in the comments what VR8 really is on this chassis. But right now we're going to go with the B plus shutdown adjustment, and we're not going to mess with it because it's still set at factory settings. And we know the monitor is working because I've already tried it out. Now, here's another one right here, which also has the factory goop on it and has never been adjusted. This one is VR13. Also, if you look at the schematics, it's somewhat close to the brightness adjustment pot, but one side goes over towards the focus on the flyback. So not 100% sure what this one is, but according again to Trevor on his video, he thinks VR13 might be a black level adjustment. But since it's never been messed with, we're not going to mess with it. Unless we need to adjust the black level, we might experiment with it, but I think would be a safe bet. If this monitor ran as long as it has without being adjusted, I think we can probably get by with it. Now let's go to one more thing. I was wondering where the width coil is on this. I don't see anything that looks like a traditional width coil, you know, like you find on a G07 or 4600 or any of the other monitors that has a tall looking coil with an adjustment, coil slug inside it. What I do see is this metal can right here, which looks like a oscillator coil or a IF coil out of a transistor radio. It also looks just like the coil found on a Wells Gardner 4600 daughter card, which adjusts I believe, the horizontal frequency. That's that one on the daughter card that's kind of hard to get to. So anyway, I did a little research to try to find out where the horizontal width coil is, and I found again on the Aussie Arcade forum, somebody had put a picture of this very chassis, and they were asking the same thing. And somebody told them that this is the width coil adjustment. Now, I don't know if that's so, but we may try to adjust it just to see if it does affect the width. So that's another thing. If anybody knows for sure what this is it just a horizontal frequency adjustment like on the Wells Gardner 4600, or is it actually a width adjustment? I don't know. We might experiment with that too. Okay, now for the rest of them, let me let this chassis down here. We have, let's start with these 3 pots right here. These are labeled, let's see, R gain, G gain, and B gain. So that's red gain, green gain, and blue gain. So this is your red, green, and blue input adjustments, or the gain from your game board. Your signals come in on this pin right here from your game board, and each game board is slightly different. They're all supposed to be within a certain preset, and most monitors can handle the inputs just fine. There are a few game boards though that are kind of so different that you need to make an adjustment. And so anyway, these are adjustments for the color level, just like any adjustments. You can either have them down too low or you can have them up too high. So that factors into making the adjustments. The red gain is VR1. The green gain is can't quite see it there. VR3, and the blue gain is VR5. Okay, that's these 3 pots right here. Now you got these pots right here. This 4. You have your horizontal hold, you have your brightness, vertical hold, and vertical height. And those are from left to right: VR7, VR12, VR9, and VR10. Okay, then over here you have these 3 pots. Now I replaced this one because somebody had bodged an incorrect pot on top of the remains of the old one. You can go back and watch my other video if you haven't seen that. So I put the correct pot in. It's a different form factor, a little bit bigger, but it's a 5K pot just like these 2 right here. So these are your red, green, and blue cutoff. These are normally found on your neck board, but anyway, these control the color cutoff for the guns on the tube. So adjusting one of these boards is sort of like a balancing act, I like to think. You have to kind of go back and forth between the gains and the cutoffs. And you also have to adjust your brightness, and you just have to kind of go back and forth. It's kind of hard to explain. Okay, also, right here, you have your screen adjustment. Now, this is a separate pot. Let's see. The screen is VR14. The screen kind of also adjusts, I guess you could say, the brightness. You usually turn this all the way up until you see retrace lines, horizontal lines going across the screen. And then you turn it down to where the lines disappear. So that's an important adjustment too. Then on the flyback itself, the screen is usually on the flyback, the bottom pot on the flyback itself, but this is separate. Then the one on the flyback here, of course, is the focus adjustment. And that's one I'm going to have to adjust because I did try to focus it, but I didn't have my mirror out there, so I couldn't see the screen while I was trying to adjust it. So we're going to have to adjust that. So that's pretty much every adjustment that's on this chassis. So, and of course, right here, there's the plug where your yoke plugs in. This plug right here is where the Gauss coil plugs in. And this is where the 100 volt AC power plugs in, right here. Now, in my other video, I was thinking that this plug right here, which just has 2 wires that loop, that might have something to do with being able to change the chassis to another voltage. I don't think it is, but I did run across one post somewhere, I don't remember where now, where somebody had taken this plug out and they had wired in voltage directly into these 2 terminals. Instead of using the 2 terminals here, they fed the voltage directly into these 2 plugs here, and supposedly the chassis was running on a 115, 120 volts. I guess doing that would bypass one of these coils here. I don't know which one, but I don't recommend trying that. And the guy who was trying to figure it out, somebody else had done it prior, and he wasn't too sure about it, so he decided not to do that and to go ahead and run the chassis on 100 volts where it's supposed to. I haven't looked into it, but I think it has something to do with the degaussing circuit. Maybe there's another plug. It seems to be the chassis on the schematics is set up to where you can have a remote button, a manual button for the degauss. So that might have something to do with hooking up a manual button for the degaussing circuit. That's just a guess on my part, but that's all I could come up with. So I'm not going to take the time to go through the schematic and try to figure out exactly what's going on there, because it's not necessary. So there we have it. Now we can take this chassis, put it back in the monitor, fire it up. We'll want to let it run for about 10-15 minutes to warm up, and then we'll commence to seeing if we can tweak this thing and get the best picture possible. Well, I got the chassis back in the game. The game is up and running, and the picture doesn't look too bad, but didn't notice before we changed that last cap. Let me get back to the screen. It looked like we got a little bit of fold over right here on the edge. And I've been noticing that on a lot of the Phoenix games, the Phoenix boards have the same exact rollover on this right side, which is actually, that would be, let's see, would that be considered vertical or horizontal? See, I keep getting those mixed up. We'll just have to play with the controls and see if we can tweak that out. But I got my mirror set up here, sticking in my Dragon's Lair 2 cabinet, which needs to be restored. But anyway, it's sticking out so I can peek through there and get a better view of the screen while I'm adjusting it. I did cut the volume down some because it was kind of loud. I decided to put the game board in it instead of using the test pattern generator. After we tweak it a little bit, I may put the test pattern generator back on there and see if we can tweak it even a little more to get the color balance better. But for now, we're just going to go with the game board. I already had it hooked up and whatever. So let me go back here. First thing we need to do is check the B plus to make sure the B plus is okay. So I already got my meter hooked up here, and as you can see, we got 95.7 DC volts, and it's supposed to be 110, so it is a little low. I did notice when I was editing the last footage, when we had the chassis on the workbench, that pot for the B plus adjustment has been moved, and it looks like it's turned down low. So, because if you turn it, it looks like it's been turned counterclockwise, and that's usually turning it down, and clockwise would bring it back up. So we're going to go ahead and give it a adjust here. It's been on for about 15 minutes, so the chassis is all warmed up, but it is up and running and energized, so we want to be careful. The pot is no problem because it's the part where you stick the screwdriver or adjuster in is plastic. But just to be on the safe side, I'm using my insulated adjustment tool here, which has ceramic tips on it. Got a small one, 1.3 millimeter on this end, and this end is a 2.6 millimeter. So it's a screwdriver end is all this is. These ends are interchangeable, so if they still make this, I've had this quite a long time. My buddy got it for me. It's a Vessel 9003 patent Japan, so it wasn't cheap, but it's a good tool. Anyway, let's go ahead and see if I can't snake my way in here and see if I can adjust this thing without getting the bejesus shocked out of me. All right, so I'm in the pot. So let me turn it up. And it is going up. Let's see if we can get 110 out of it. There's 100. I'm a little worried now. Getting close, but there we go. 110.2. I'll take that. All right, let's see what the picture looks like. Did it change? Yes, it did. Wow, it went full screen. You could probably see it because I had a split screen. As I was adjusting the voltage up, you could see that what the picture was doing. So that's why I kind of did a split screen like that. But as you can see, the sync is off. That would be the vertical adjustment for that. Plus the brightness is too high, but that's a good thing. All right, let me go ahead now and we'll see if we can't make some adjustments. That's why it's important to set your B plus and make sure your B plus is set right, because with the B plus being low or not adjusted properly, all your other settings are going to be whacked. So yeah, so let's go ahead and I'll set up and see if I can't get these cameras where I can have another split screen so you can see what's going on the front of the screen while I'm in the back, and hopefully you'll be able to see which adjustments I'm adjusting, and I'll try to call them out and we'll go from there. Okay, in case you're wondering how to test the B+, you just ground your meter right here on anywhere on this metal chassis frame, and this ceramic resistor right here, put your plus lead on the one, facing you on the back of the monitor here, and that's how you read the B+. And as you can see, we're at 110.34, right in that range. So yeah, that's how you test B+. Okay, let's go ahead and see if we can't start adjusting this. First, we'll start with the vertical hold and see if that straighten up our vertical. There we go. And let's bring our vertical height down right here, so we get everything in the screen. Looks like we still have kind of a pincushion bow there. Let me bring it in, and let's see if, definitely a pincushion looks a little off. Alright, well, we'll go with that right there. Let's turn the brightness down. And here's the brightness. Now let's turn the brightness down a little bit, and let's turn the screen up till we see retrace lines. There's the retrace lines. See the vertical lines going up and down? And you can also see where we got that bow at the bottom and the top too, probably. All right, let's turn this down, get rid of those retrace lines. Okay, now let's turn the brightness back up. Now we want it dark, so okay. Now let's turn the vertical height again. We still got that droop on the right-hand side of the screen. Okay, let's see what the horizontal hold does. See if that affects it any. That just seems to be moving the picture up and down. So evidently, when we turn the brightness up, we got full screen on the brightness. So that's not the monitor. The game is what's not filling up the screen top to bottom. And I've looked at some other heavy barrel games on the internet, and they look the same. It has a lot of dead space on the bottom and top. So I think that's probably just the game. All right, but I still don't like that curl and the pin cushioning. I don't think this has a pin cushioning adjustment. It wasn't that bad at first. Let me see if the screen adjustment is going to affect that anymore. Let's see if I turn the screen down and turn the brightness up. That's the brightness all the way up. That's the brightness all the way down. All right, let me turn the screen again. That's the screen all the way down. Let me turn the screen up till we see the retrace lines. Cut it back so they disappear. Let's turn the brightness back up. All right, it looks a little green, so let's adjust the color inputs. Green is the center one right here. Turn it down a little bit, up. That's turning the green gain up. All right. All right, let's turn the red a little bit and see what that does. Okay. All right, and let's get the blue. Don't want to leave the blue out. Yeah, it's looking a little better. Still don't like that curve I got. I wonder if that has anything to do with changing that capacitor, which originally had a 68 microfarad and we put a 47 in it. I don't know. All right, let me try the vertical height again. Yeah, that's too wide. And it's definitely got that bow in it. Well, it just might be that it just don't like this this game. It might just be the way some games just don't work well with certain monitors. The focus don't look too bad. I wonder if I can tweak that a little bit. I think that's good right there. All right, let's put the test pattern generator on it and see what that tells us. Let me see if our, yeah, we're still, B plus is still at 110.4. So we're looking good on the B plus. So let me go ahead and cut it off here. And unplug it there. And let's plug in our test pattern generator. Okay. All right, let's turn it back on. B plus is jumped back up to 110.1. All right, let's turn the test pattern generator on. And boom. And we still got that bow in there, so that might be Might be that cap. We might have to put the, what was it, 87 microfarads back in there. All right, well, the checkerboard pattern's looking pretty good. Looks like we got our whites white. Colors are looking pretty good. Maybe we can adjust the cutoffs a little bit. The cutoff prevents streaks. These are the cutoff pots right here. So we got red, green, and blue. So let's do the green because I see a little line between the green and the pink. All right, let me adjust the red. These might have been up just a little bit too high, and now the blue. Yeah, it looks pretty good. The white's still looking white, and the red, green, and the blue is looking good. Oh yeah. We still got that bow though. Colors are looking good. I wonder what that's supposed to be. Gray? Looks a little brownish. No, that's gray. Alright. Not looking bad. Alright, let's see if we can't horizontal hold. No. Vertical. Vertical hold. Okay, vertical height. All right, one more thing I want to try here. That L5 pot, which might be a frequency pot, or it could be something to do with the horizontal circuit. Let me that would be horizontal. That wouldn't affect that, would it? Let me put the vertical height down just a little bit and see if we can see the effects. I'm going to go ahead and see if I can adjust that pot. It's going to be a little tricky getting in here. Okay, I'm in. That's adjusting the horizontal position. Huh. So that's horizontal frequency. That's not a horizontal width. That's horizontal frequency. Okay, that ain't got nothing to do with it. Okay, well, I'm at a loss now, unless we have to change that cap and see what that'll do. But other than that, don't look too bad. See if I can. No, that looks good right there. Okay. Well, we still got good B plus. So I don't know what else to try. I'm gonna have to look and see if anybody knows if there's anything you can do to get that little curl out of it, and what would be causing that. It's had a new cap kit put in it. All the caps have been replaced. The only one is that C63, which the schematic says is 47 microfarad, but they had a 68 in here. So should I experiment with that cap and start with putting a 68 back in it? I tell you what, something I didn't do is take my capacitance meter and check that capacitor. I'm curious. Let's see how close it is to 68 microfarads. Now, that might tell us something, because I don't believe it had this much of a bow in it before I changed that cap. So it's possible playing around with some values of caps could straighten that out. But that would have to be something I did on the workbench. I wouldn't want to do it in the cabinet here, so I'd have to pull the monitor out, put it on the workbench. So that might be something for another day. Until then, we're going to go with it like it is. And yeah, let me go ahead and hook the game back up, and we'll see how the game looks. All right, let's turn the game back on, and we'll see what the game looks like. Okay, and our vertical is off again. So vertical hold. Boom, there we go. And I think I can see some retrace lines. Brightness, or the retrace is up a little too high. Let me try the brightness. All right. That don't look too bad. I mean, I could live with that, but still got that little bow in what would be the top and bottom of the screen, which is the sides of the screen because it's in a vertical orientation. And I guess it's got a little one in the bottom too. So it could be something to do with the pin cushion. Like I say, I don't think this monitor has a pin cushion adjustment or anything that you can do other than, I don't think the yoke would be the problem. I don't think. Yeah, I don't think it would have anything to do with the yoke. I haven't messed with that, and it looks like it's been in the same place for years, but that doesn't mean anything. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and end this video right here. We got a fairly decent picture except for the little pin cushion adjustments there, and we'll see if we can't get some feedback on that and maybe make some tweaks with some capacitors. Wonder, do they make a electrolytic capacitor substitution box? I could hook it up to that, where that cap is, and just flip the switch between different capacitors and see what the results look like. Anybody ever tried anything like that? Yeah. I don't know. Anyway. All right, let's go back to the game room, to the workbench, and test that capacitor real quick, and then we'll end the video. All right, here's that capacitor. That was C63 that we took out, 68 microfarad at 16 volts, and we replaced it with a 47 at 100 volts. Let's hit the test button here, and let's see what it comes up with. Ooh, 26.32 microfarads, and the ESR is 16.9 ohms. So this capacitor is shot. Huh. And that is even lower than the 47 microfarads. So I guess we're going to have to revisit this in the future. I'll just get some other values when I place an order, and we'll just have to pull that monitor out and see what we can do with it. In the meantime, if anybody knows, has any ideas about why this particular TOEI monitor has that pin-cushion bow in it or whatever, is there anything that can be done with that? I know there's probably not a whole lot of people that's done a whole lot with these monitors. That's kind of the problem, I guess. But if I can't find out anything, I'll do some experimenting and see if I can't figure something out on it. So there you have it. I guess you could say somewhat of a success. The monitor still needs a little bit of tweaking, but we got a nice looking picture, other than that one little problem. So, you know, I can deal with it. I'll even try some other boards. I'll take that 60-in-1 back out there and put that on there and try that. Also, if anybody wants a video on the joysticks, I got to go through those two, what are they, LS30 joysticks, Data East style. I believe they're the same as the Witco or Wyco, however you pronounce that. They're the leaf switch type. There's another type that have, I think, micro switches in it. But this is the leaf switch type, the Data East joysticks, the rotary joysticks. So, yeah, maybe the next video we'll take a look at those and clean the leaf switches up a little bit. One of the rotary knobs was slipping a little bit, and the shaft seemed like it had rusted up a little bit. So we may have to take it apart. We may be able to just put a little bit of lube down in it, a little light machine oil, and maybe we can free it up. And we get the joysticks working right, we'll play some heavy barrel. And I've never played it before, really, except for just a little bit of testing while I was, you know, getting the game up and running. So I don't really have an opinion on it. So let me know in the comments, do you like heavy barrel? Is it a great game, a good game, an okay game? You know, I'm going to have to kind of try it out and see how I like it. If I don't like it, then, you know, I may pull that game out and put another game in it. So we'll have to see how it goes. Well, when I was going back over the video that I took, I noticed that when I was doing the adjusting of the horizontal hold, this curvature on this right-hand side went away. And I didn't notice it when I was adjusting it. It was not until I reviewed the video that I noticed that. So let's give it a try. I came back out here to see if that was the case. So let's give it a try. We're going to adjust the horizontal hold. And let's watch that right-hand side of the screen and see what happens. Wait for it to get back to the track mode. Okay. Look at there, it straightened it right up, didn't it? All right, while we're at it, let's make a few more adjustments. Looks like to me the green cutoff is a little out of whack, so let's I think that's looking pretty good now. Maybe let's see the brightness, maybe a little bit. Horizontal, I got the wrong one. There we go. Brightness is this one. Yeah, that's looking pretty good right there. Definitely straighten up that edge. That's all it was. Okay, well, I guess we'll go okay then. And let's see our voltage, B plus. B plus is at 109.9. It's dropped a little bit. But that's close enough. We'll just leave it right there. We'll just keep an eye on it and monitor it as we go along. Yeah, it's looking a whole lot better. It's got a slight convergence issue, I noticed, you know, right down in the corners, but that's normal for a lot of monitors. I'm pretty happy with it. Once I decide on which game I'm going to put in this cabinet, whether I'm going to leave this in the game or if I change it to something else, you're always going to have to retune it to get the best picture with the game board that you're going to use. So yeah, but in the meantime, yeah, I kind of like that. I'll go ahead and put a credit on here. Yeah, I can live with that. Oops. Yeah, seems to be working now. Even got the joysticks working. All right, well, the next video is going to be on these joysticks. And we'll take a look at those. I've never messed with those rotary joysticks before. So we'll do that, and we'll go ahead and after we get the joysticks all squared away, we'll have a video where we just play the game, and I'll make up my mind whether or not I like it or not. So let me know in the comments, do you like heavy barrel? Would you keep this as a heavy barrel, or would you consider turning it back into what it originally was, which I don't know exactly what it used to be, but I'm suspecting it was a Phoenix or one of those other Century games. So yeah. Anyway, till the next video, this has just been another arcade fix. Have you had your arcade fix today?